Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. It's December 29th, 2020. Abhayagiri Monastery, and the time keeps passing and it doesn't stop. So the experience of life keeps passing and it doesn't stop, and it keeps flowing on, and it kind of goes up and down, and we think we know what might be happening, we've got to figure it out, and then it changes, and so things are always changing. And so mindfulness is important. So what is mindfulness? What is this thing called mindfulness? And it's actually pretty boring in the description, where it's it's like this sense of recollecting what's happening in the present. And it's not seeking experience. So that's a big difference. So like what we're normally doing is like in our lives we're seeking things, we're seeking experience. But mindfulness is that which it sees when we're seeking, and it comes back to the body, the feelings, the mind, and so on. And mindfulness knows the experience. So like so it's not like looking for the right experience or the perfect experience. And sometimes, when we meditate and different things happen, and we might have an idea about like what's supposed to happen. So sometimes we'll get questions like, I was meditating and I had this wind feeling in my head, and then I had a kind of feeling of lightness in my arm, and then my left muscle was tensing up, and then there was this pain going through my heart chakra, and then the other chakra kind of had this other feeling in it, and then there was like this, that energy and that awareness coursed through my leg, and then it started twitching, and then my right arm felt this way, and then my left arm felt this way. And is that right? Is that what I'm supposed to be experiencing? And I just I don't know how to answer those questions. So it's like, well, did you know it? Did you see it arise and pass away? And it's like, yes, that's it. Like you had that light feeling in your right forearm. That's it. But that's just a passing experience. So it's like mindfulness of the body. Yes, you had a coursing wind feeling in your neck. Yes, that's it. Yes. But were we like mindful of it? Like we see it arise and pass away. But if the danger is if we're like seeking an experience, then it's like going into it and getting enamored with it, lost with it, intoxicated by it. And so there's a danger in that. And I like to think of the teaching of Luang Por Chah when he gave this famous like key to liberation teaching where he had these different experiences in his meditation, and of the body dissolving to bits and the world dissolving into little bits and everything. And he said, if I didn't have mindfulness, I could have lost my mind. I could have gone crazy if I would have like gone into that experience. So but because I had mindfulness, I knew it was just a passing experience. And that was very important. That's a very important point. And if the mindfulness wasn't present, it's like pointing out that there's a danger in that. So making sure that the mindfulness is present, and it's very ordinary. Like it just sees things that arise and pass away, not self. Now, the danger of like seeking amazing experiences and going into them is that then what happens is we might feel incredibly sure of that experience, and then that experience might start telling us things, and we might start believing whatever kind of passing experiences that we're having, and then when we're swept along, like you could say it might be like grabbing onto a train, and it's not going to a good destination, but it's exciting for a little while, and rather than mindfulness would just be like standing on the side of the tracks and just watching the train go by. We don't want to grab onto that train. And so there's that thing to look out for, is just like, yes, it might be fun or exciting or amazing to have like really extreme experiences in meditation, but the mindfulness is what looks at them, sees them as they are, as impermanent, as passing. And the danger of like, say, absorbing into an experience, going into an experience, or being sure of, say if different thoughts or visions come up in meditation, and feeling very sure of them, maybe even receiving some sort of instruction or some sort of idea of like exactly what we're supposed to do in the moment, then that's being sure that we might feel very sure of that experience, but then the danger is when that disappears, then we're left kind of floating and anchorless. And so like with mindfulness, there's a different type of confidence, and what we feel very sure of is all things are impermanent. All dhammas are anicca, sabbe dhamma anicca. So that's what we feel very sure of. That's what we become confident in with mindfulness. And that's very important, because that's like a shift of perspective, or a different way of seeing things. Is the Dhamma way of seeing things. You could say the worldly way is to like seek experience, and the way of the Dhamma is to see according to anicca, dukkha, anatta. So this is very important. And this is what leads to a sense of not just confidence in that, in those three characteristics which describe conditioned reality, but also a sense of ease and well-being, and a sense of solidity, and a feeling like we can face these truths of just birth, aging, sickness, and death, and the conditioned world in a way that, just seeing clearly. And it's kind of ordinary, boring, but it's not boring when we develop a sense of ease and well-being that then grows, and it grows through the practice. It's like being sober. So it's like one of the teachings I like is the Buddha talking about the 3 types of intoxication, and we're intoxicated with youth, intoxicated with health, intoxicated with life. And he talks about relinquishing or abandoning these 3 types of intoxication, which led him to like a going forth from the home life into homelessness. And so one gets a sense of like, with mindfulness, it's like this incredible sobriety where it leads to a relinquishment of that type of intoxication, where we're intoxicated, so we're lost in the experience. Being intoxicated in that sense is like, it's like seeking experiences. So the intoxication with youth. So we have youth, and when we have youth and we're intoxicated with it, then when that youth disappears, then we're left unmoored, we're left bewildered, we're left suffering in dukkha. And when we have good health and we're intoxicated with good health, and that good health leaves, which it will definitely, then we're unmoored, we're left with that still being intoxicated, then we're left without an anchor, we're left floating, we're left adrift with the intoxication with life. Then when death occurs, which it definitely will at some point for all of us, then we're left without an anchor, without a refuge. And so the relinquishing of these 3 different types of intoxication, and that's through these basic contemplations, which again, just like talking about mindfulness, like these contemplations, they seem boring, and yet they lead to this incredible sobriety and then this incredible sense of ease, which then gives a refuge, a way forward, and helps us to look closer at Buddho, like the knowing quality of the heart, which sees the anicca, dukkha, anatta more clearly, and the relinquishing or the letting go of the intoxication of youth, intoxication with youth, that comes from the contemplation of aging, and the letting go of the intoxication with health, that comes from the contemplation of sickness, and the letting go of the intoxication with life, that comes from the death contemplation. And so these different contemplations are very important. And then when we do those, it's natural to not find fault with others. It's natural to have a sense of metta or goodwill for others, and it's also natural to have a sense of karuna and compassion for others, because it says in the suttas, like the Buddha saying, well, if I myself am subject to aging, why would I find fault with anybody else for aging, for being old? Why would I feel disgusted at that? That would be inappropriate for me. That would be unwise for me to think like that. Like if I myself am subject to sickness, then why should I feel disgusted or humiliated when I see sickness all around me or in other people? And if I myself am subject to death, why should I feel averse or disgusted by death? So there's that sense of sobering up, that sense of like just seeing these realities which are right in front of us. And all of these realities are right in front of us all the time. And they're not just right in front of us, they are us, they're within us. We are these dhammas, these dhamma recollections, the living dhamma, not just words in a book. And there's truths, there's things to discover right in front of us all the time. And in that sense, we'll never be bored, because it's always going to be interesting. We're always going to see it all over the place. We're going to see anicca all around us when we learn how to contemplate. And it's kind of like a while ago I had read this Bill Bryson book, The Body, which is quite interesting and talks about the brain and the different organs and different mystery illnesses through the centuries that people could never figure out what they were all about. And talks about the different muscular and skeletal systems. And for me, this is like, there's all these truths within us and all around us. And for some reason, one that struck me was like just the way the hand works. And I was talking about this with Skip and Tangino the other day when we were driving, and just like who has recognized like that like you can put every finger up, you can make a fist and you can put every finger up individually except the ring finger. That one doesn't go up. It's like who knew that? You can't put that one straight up. People can try it later if they want, and it's just very curious. And every other finger goes straight up, but that one doesn't. And it's just like this truth that was like right in front of us our whole life. And for me, I never noticed it. It's like I never did that experiment, never noticed that. So just that simple truth is kind of like, yeah, there's how many other things are right in front of us, all around us, all the time, that we don't really see, don't really know about. Like this floor is made of cork, and who knows where cork comes from. I never knew where cork came from until recently. I thought maybe it was ground up wine bottle stoppers or something. And it's actually bark of a type of oak tree. And I just had no idea. And it was like, never really thought about it, but it's there, it's all around us. And it's a natural material. It's from the cork oak. And it's got this very thick bark, and you can strip the bark off and it grows back, and it's a renewable resource. So, and everything is like that. Our lives, and everything within us and everything that surrounds us, it's all very rich contemplation, and we don't need to go very far. We don't need to watch YouTube to watch something interesting. Like, looking at a cork floor and contemplating it can be very interesting. Or making a fist in front of you and seeing which finger you can lift and which one you can't can be interesting if we see it in the right way. So these simple truths. So then we take that type of sati sampajanya, that we take that mindfulness and we direct it skillfully. We use the yoniso manasikara, and we direct that mindfulness skillfully toward certain objects, like impermanence. We direct it skillfully toward aging. We direct it skillfully toward sickness. We direct it skillfully toward death. We start to wake up. And we start to wake up to these things. We direct it to those things, and we start to sober up. We don't have that sense of being bewildered, being intoxicated. And then from that, and also we have the sila, the precepts that we follow, which just allow us to have just enough room to breathe and actually like do something useful. And so, like with all these things, it's just it's incredible. It's incredible what we have. And when we practice like this, there might be a sense of ease and well-being, and then that's felt in the body. That sense of ease is important. And then we can also, with the body contemplation, if we want to get our mind more interested, we can start to think like, how does perception work? And why is it that something immaterial like perception or like thought can have a total biological shift in the body, total, just a certain perceptions might come up, or a thought of someone who criticized us, the whole body changes, and it was just a thought, it was just immaterial. Or we might think of something pleasant, the whole body changes, the heart sings at that, and it was just a thought, it was just something immaterial. So how could something that is immaterial have so much impact and be, our whole life? All things converge on feeling. Like how can these feelings arise seemingly out of nowhere, and then disappear again, like a cloud, like a bubble, it seemingly comes from nowhere and it disappears to nowhere. It's what was it? What kind of substance did it have? And then directing that toward who we think we are, the sense of self, and thinking of ourselves, say, like as children. We might see a picture of ourselves as a child and think, like, where did that go? What part of me now was that me then? What is there some physical part that is still the same? Is there some resemblance still, or maybe there's some residual? Is there some personality trait that is me, that I identify with, that as me, that I had since I was young? Or some character trait? Is that like the definition of who I am? So like thinking like, how does that work? We look at that in the same way that we look at impermanence, or we look at perception or thought. And I see like, oh, it's just as ephemeral. The sense of self is just as ephemeral. And so it can be an interesting contemplation. There's no clear answer, but it's a contemplation which can lead to a sense of wonder, a sense of ease, and like what is that? How does that occur? What's that process? So this is Dhammavichaya, so we hold this as a factor in our mind, this Dhammavichaya, where we're thinking about considering these things through our daily life. And we might be able to rest the mind, calm the mind down during the meditation, but then we take that sense of calm into our daily life, and then we're contemplating these things, considering these things, and it's actually interesting. And then the body goes through its different phases throughout the day. We've got the daily schedule. So, and as we end the year, we start to think more about the winter retreat, and really we won't have much of a full schedule until January 8th. So we'll be able to wind down the year and have some open time. But there's these, we'll have a chance to look at our activities through the day, and how does the body and mind react to different situations through the day. What do we do when we're run up against situations that are unpleasant, that we don't like? How do we react? What do we do when we're tired and we have to go to a group activity and we feel tired? How do we deal with that? When we have to wash dishes and we don't want to, how do we deal with that? When we have to meditate and we don't want to, how do we deal with that? When we haven't meditated enough and we think we got to meditate more, how do we deal with what's going on? Yeah, just looking at all these different modes that we get ourselves into. when we want to ride up the hill and there's not a ride, how do we deal with that? All these kind of difficulties, and they're all over the place. That's where it really, where we're at, can get displayed. We get to know ourselves. We get to run up against ourselves when there's situations we might find that push us a little bit or test us a little bit. That's quite good. It's quite good. It's like somebody asked Luang Por Liam, like, do you do interviews with your students, with the other monks? Do you do interviews with them? How do you, and he said, no, I don't do interviews. And, well, how do you know where they're at? And he said, I watch how they work, I watch how they do their daily tasks. It's like, are they putting their heart into it or not? Are they just on automatic? Are they putting their heart into it, or just trying to follow just tell me how to do it, and I'll do it that way, or are they kind of putting their heart into it, trying to find better ways to do it? So every activity of the day, like, we can ask ourselves, like, are we putting our heart into the activities, or is it just kind of like, just get it over with so I can go meditate or do what I want? So there's that sense of mindfulness. We come full circle back to mindfulness, like that could be one way to think about it as well, as like putting your heart into every activity, whatever's in front of one, just, okay, that's what's happening. And it doesn't mean like, obsessing over something in exclusion to all else, but putting the heart into it means like making it useful, making it wholesome, making it beneficial. There's like in Thailand they say like getting the benefit from the activity. So we actually, when we put our heart into these things, we actually gain benefit. There's a big difference between sweeping a trail, not putting our heart into it, and sweeping our trail, putting our heart into it. And it just, like, you can see the difference, you can feel the difference, and the benefit is different. The way we get the benefit is different. So same with, like, say, working in the kitchen, cooking. A lot of it is about the attitude. It's like the story of, in the suttas, of the king who, he gets offered cakes, like, say, once a week from somebody in some outlying district or the village, and the king, whenever he eats these cakes, he's like, these are like the best cakes ever. Like, what's in these cakes? And nobody can figure out what the ingredients are, so they have to figure out like where the cakes came from. Through some investigation, they figure out these cakes, they came from a poor villager. And so they go to the poor villager and they say, well, what are the ingredients to those cakes? Like, why are they so good? So the villager tells them the ingredients, and they're just the normal ingredients for any cakes. The same ingredients that anybody would use, say, to make a cake. And so they go back to the king, and the king says, well, no, they're definitely different. Like, I've got these cakes here, and I've got these cakes that this villager has been making, and these ones are definitely better. And these are like the best cakes I've ever had in my life. So, like, go back, and he must be lying to you or something. And ask him again, what are the ingredients? And they ask him again, like, he's like, no, those really are the ingredients. And then they say, well, is there anything different you do? Anything unusual that you do while you make these cakes? And then the villager says, while I'm making these cakes, the whole time I'm making them, I mentally recite, may the king be well, may the king be happy, may the king be well, may the king be happy. And based on that, so like he like puts his metta into these cakes, I guess. And it's like, so the story is about like how we do things makes a big difference. into the final result, and that difference can be felt by others as well. So these are kind of like basic things, very basic kind of boring reflections, but it's the things that really bring the benefit, the things that really bring the sense of ease. And as we come closer to an end of 2020, it's like, for me, that's like the good contemplation is like, how do we get the benefit? How do we get the ease? How do we put our heart into things? How do we move forward in a way where we're less intoxicated and not more intoxicated? How do we move forward in a way where there's a sense of the bringing up skillful reflections, skillful contemplations, skillful focus? Like, how do we move forward with yoniso manasikara, like with the wise attention, and get the benefit that way? So I won't talk for too long tonight. I don't have so much to say. Kind of a bit tired, wrapping up things for the year and doing some cleanup and stuff and around the monastery. We'll probably just do the optional long pra. There can be a truck going up after this. We can do a closing chant and so on as we've been doing. So I'll leave it there.
Mayang Mikataya Sadhu Karam Patana Se Sadhu 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 Anumodam.
So we can do a closing chant if there's a